Hey, you're hanging out in the Link Up Lounge. I'm Tiffany Mason.
And I'm Donna Ruppel. Around here, we believe success isn't just about what you know, it's about who you link up with. This is your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities.
Donna, it blows my mind that the two of us have over 30 years of combined networking experience.
I know! We've built businesses, expanded networks, and created unstoppable momentum, all through the power of strategic connections.
AKA networking. And now we're here to guide you to do the same, starting today.
So let's dive in, connect, and start making moves you didn't even know were possible.
Welcome back to the Link Up Lounge. I'm Tiffany Mason of Virtually You, the boutique podcast management agency, and I'm here with my co-host, Donna Ruppel, your Nocatee real estate expert.
This is your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities. And today, we're talking about the networking mistakes that could be costing you referrals, relationships, and business. Sometimes opportunities disappear because of one major misstep, but more often, it's a series of small habits. Talking too much, following up too late, making every conversation about business, or only reaching out when you need something. Today, we're identifying those mistakes and showing you how to replace them with habits that help people remember, trust, and recommend you. I think most people have good intentions when they network. They want to meet new people, grow their business, and create opportunities, but good intentions don't always lead to good networking, right? You can be friendly, professional, and experienced, and still unknowingly make people feel overlooked, pressured, or unimportant.
Yeah, I think it's like super easy to potentially be having like these vibes come off of you, like these little social cues that people pick up on that you're saying like you're not interested in conversation. And when it comes to talking too much, maybe you're trying too hard to prove who you are, what you do.
Yeah.
They say less is more. And sometimes that is very true when we're interacting with others. Because the challenge is that people don't always tell you when something feels off. They like smile, take the business card, finish the conversation politely, but they may not follow up, make it the introduction they said they were going to, or even recommend you later. Networking mistakes rarely come with like an immediate warning, right? Like you're doing something wrong, but there's nobody watching you that's going to coach you and be like, hey, you talked about yourself for 15 minutes. You got to really be aware of how the vibe that you are giving, how you're portraying yourself. And, we've talked about networking being reciprocal. So are you asking questions in return? I mean, all those kind of things matter.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked before about, looking at networking like a numbers game and like you're just trying to meet as many people in the room and hand out your business card as possible. Like that kind of vibe is going to come off as somebody gets that you're not really interested in connecting and they're probably not going to follow up with you. So just like you said, there isn't an immediate warning about that. Nobody's going to say, hey, dude, slow down. We see you're just passing out your business card. That's where your self-awareness is so, so important. I mean, successful networking isn't only about what you say, as we've said, it's about how people feel after interacting with you.
Okay, so let's talk about the top 10 mistakes that cost you opportunities from networking. So the first mistake is one of the most common, and it's dominating the conversation. Someone asks you what you do, and suddenly you're like talking about every service you've ever offered, all your credentials that you've ever earned going back to 1982, and every project that you've ever worked on. And I think sometimes we do that because it's like, oh, I could name drop, Goodyear tires if I talk about what I did 20 years ago.
Right.
But the reality is, think for yourself, if somebody said something from 20 years ago, would you still be impressed? I mean, yes, a little bit, but not to the extent that you're hoping that they are for current introduction opportunities that they would have for you.
Yes, and I see that a lot. People bringing up their past employment or their past successes when they're maybe new in the industry they're promoting and they're feeling insecure about their newness. So they want to rely on their past. And that to me is the biggest light that goes on of, oh, this person is just not confident in what they're doing. That's what it says to me.
So true. So true. Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with sharing your story. The problem is when the other person never gets a chance to share theirs. And I know sometimes I can be so passionate about sharing what I do that I go, oh, shoot, I need to pass the ball over to the other person. I was at a networking event last week, 2 weeks ago. There was like 10 people and they all had to introduce themselves within 15 minutes. The very first person took 8. I mean, I am a time Nazi to begin with. I was ready to jump out of my skin, and I was
I'm
trying to read
sure
the
you
room
were.
of the rest of the table. There were 3 other people at the table that I could tell wanted to jump out of their skin like me. And there were, 6 other people that were just like, oh, like completely aloof as to that there was time. And in this specific networking meeting, that's the only time that you get to have these one-to-one
Oh
conversations,
my
or I guess like
gosh.
1 to 10. Yeah, like at your table. So she literally sucked up like the whole first 15 minutes. And I thought, wow, you are so unaware that
Right.
you are just going on and on about your business, and
Right.
nobody else at the table is going to get an opportunity to say anything. Like, it just
Yeah.
blows my mind. A conversation should feel kind of like a game, right? Like, okay, you share something, then you pass the conversation back, then they say something about themselves, and then you ask a follow-up question. Maybe they ask a follow-up question. Like, I mean, come on, people. We got to be
Yeah.
aware of time
Right.
hogging.
And obviously, some people don't realize they're doing it because they're so nervous and they feel like they need to fill every silence. So they keep talking. But
Yeah.
silence isn't a problem, especially when you're in those networking situations like you're talking about. I mean, sometimes it gives the other person space to think, respond, or to take the conversation in a new direction. I mean, I usually try to be very short in my introduction because I want people to ask me questions about what they care about that I do. Because in real estate,
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
you could say I'm in real estate and then somebody could never ask you a question. But if they're interested, they could say, do you do commercial real estate? That tells me a lot about,
Yes.
they're maybe thinking about a commercial
Yes.
space. Or do you do condos? Or do you have the knowledge on the Airbnb situation? It tells
Yep.
me what they may be interested in and what they may be looking for. And that is way more powerful than me talking for 10 minutes at them about all the various things that I can do. Right. It's like,
Right.
but it took a long time for me to realize that. I had to
Yeah.
grow up a lot because I'm really old. So I had to grow up a lot to figure out that being short in the beginning allows a follow-up that tells me more about them, which is really what I want anyway in the whole conversation.
Well, and I think the other person feels valued in that conversation when it is short.
Yes.
Like, when you just railroad them with all the information, they're like, okay, so it's about
Right.
you. Whereas, like,
Right.
if you keep it short and then I ask a question, you ask a question, I mean, that's kind of a fun conversation, right? And I feel valued in that conversation because you're giving me space to interact and be a part of it.
Right. Exactly. I like, my husband knows that when I meet somebody, I'll come back and I'll say, well, that whole coffee meetup or that whole lunch was all about them. I don't think they asked me 3 questions. And to me,
Yeah.
I have no interest in following up with that person because
Yeah.
it's like, you're not interested in me. You just wanted to talk to somebody, apparently.
Okay. And I think it's also important too in this growing up and being self-aware, blah, blah, blah. I recently had one-to-one with somebody that I knew had not done it in the past. And so it did kind of end up being all about them. But I also think nerves factored into that. And I said, well, let me just tell you a little bit about what I do. Like, I interjected it just so that that person would understand going forward. Like, you got to ask about the other person too.
Right? It's a two-way conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think that they were doing it to be selfish. That person doesn't come off like that.
Right.
But I think that they were just very nervous. And like you're saying, they were filling the space. And so if you notice somebody is feeling nervous, or maybe this isn't something that they've done a lot, kind of show them how, you can volley back and forth, or, provide some information about your business as well as their business.
Yeah. I mean, I think a simple rule is to make sure you know at least as much about the other person as they know about you. I think that's a good rule. Okay. Number 2, pitching too soon. OMG. This is so true. Okay. The next mistake is moving into a sales pitch before a relationship has been established. You meet someone, exchange names, and within 2 minutes, they're telling you why you need their service or asking whether you know anyone who needs what they offer. This is like one of my top pet peeves because when you pitch me too soon, I am out.
Well,
I'm
and
already
I
done.
immediately think you're a taker.
Yeah, 100%. Because I don't want to be sold to when I'm networking. I want to
Who
know
does?
if, right? I want to know if you're
I don't
interested in
even know if I want to be
connecting.
sold to when I'm in the market to buy.
I know, right? Right? It's like, I want to know if you're interested in connecting with me and if you're interested in sharing your network with me. That's what I want to know. I don't want you to think that I'm here to buy from you. And
Right. This is a
that,
first date. We're
yeah,
not trying to meet the family. We're just trying to see,
right?
do we have anything in common that we would possibly want to have another date?
Right.
Or like a singles mixer, and would we want to try a first date?
Exactly.
Well, and I remember a previous episode that we had where we were talking about sliding into people's DMs and, how that could feel slimy or salesy. And it's slimy or salesy when you slide in, and then that's the first thing that you're saying. You make a connection request, and then the very next thing is, have you tried this cleaner? Have you ever thought about starting a podcast? Have you ever bought a home before? Like, these are the things
Right.
that we are not trying to do in the first 5 seconds of connection. There's
Right.
no conversation, there's no curiosity, there's no reciprocity, like no effort in understanding who the other person is. Just, this is what I got. What do you think? You want to book a call? You want to have a discovery call? I want to see how this would fit into your life. Like, no.
Recently, I had a birthday, and you know how everybody, when you have a birthday and it's on Facebook, everybody sends you messages. Okay, well, I did have, I'm going to say 3 messages come through where they were selling me on my birthday. Happy birthday, blah, 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 blah. And then the message went into selling me on something. And I was like,
Gross.
wow, like I'm just not even going to respond to that.
No.
Right.
But that's
Right.
how it feels. You need to, quote unquote, read the room. Have you interacted with this person? Have you scrolled on their page and see if this is anything that would even apply to them? Like, don't try to sell me a lawnmower. I never mow the lawn. You're never going to see that on my feed. I'm not looking for lawn care. My husband takes care of everything. Like, no, this is not the right person for that message.
Right.
So, yes, you just have to be careful when you're connecting with people online that it's not just going into acting like a taker. Just because you connected doesn't mean you get to automatically pitch that person, right?
Right.
A better approach is just have that general conversation, learn about the person, their goals, their work, where there's a real fit, and the opportunity to discuss business will just kind of come up naturally.
So I think that leads us into number 3, collecting contacts without building relationships. So another mistake is confusing activity with progress. You attend an event, you collect like 20 business cards, you connect with 15 people on LinkedIn, and then you leave feeling productive. But then none of those conversations continue.
Nope.
Probably
Psych.
because you didn't actually build a relationship with any of those people. You didn't actually start diving in, cracking the little egg open enough to start a relationship.
Well, you didn't make an impact. So like that person doesn't walk away going, ooh, I really want to email her because I was going to share this one thing, but I was also going to make an introduction, or, ooh, I really want to reach out to that person because they know this other person and they said they would connect me. Like you didn't make a connection.
Right.
It's not a love match. No love match.
And it's one of those things where I think about people that have followed up with me after a networking event. Maybe I've had coffee with them or lunch with them or something like that. And those are the first people that are going to come to mind when somebody's asking me for a referral. Not somebody who handed me a business card in 30 seconds at an event. I don't even know where that business card is. I don't even know who that person is. So it's really about creating the relationship.
Yep, because a business card is not a relationship. A LinkedIn connection is not automatically a relationship either. Okay, just because you made the connection doesn't mean like automatically you're BFFs. The relationship begins when you remember something, follow up, check in, and offer value after the first meeting. So instead of trying to meet everyone, focus on the people that you generally connect with. 5 meaningful follow-ups are more valuable than 50 forgotten names.
Yes, 100%. Okay, that brings us to number 4, failing to follow up. This may be the biggest opportunity killer of all time. You make the effort, you connect with somebody, you have a conversation that's like the perfect volley, right? Back and forth, you learned about them, you had a connection, and then you don't follow up. you say, we should stay in touch, or we should do this, or whatever your follow-up language was, and then a week passes. Now it's kind of embarrassing to follow up. A month passes. Nobody's reached out. Following up doesn't need to be complicated. It can just literally be a short message sent within a day or two. It could say, it was great meeting you at the event yesterday. I enjoyed our conversation about blah, blah, blah. I'd love to stay connected. That's it.
Well, and sometimes that's all you have time for. And it does show the other person like, oh, okay, she said what she was going to do. It might not be the most like long format reach out, but at least you did do what you said you were going to do. And now that person has you in their texts, or that person has you in their DMs, or that person has you in their email. Like the chain of communication has been formed. So that is awesome.
Yes.
And the best follow-ups include something specific, like the details that you guys talked about in person. Instead of saying, nice to meet you, mention the topic that you guys discussed, or the project that they're working on, or that they're excited about. We've said that before, like, oh, what are you excited about that you're working on right now? Whatever it was, maybe allude to that when you do the follow-up.
Yeah, I will say the follow-up doesn't even have to be about business. I know this sounds funny, but it's so true.
No.
Okay, so at a networking event, I met this woman and she pulled out her business card case to hand me a business card. And it was the cutest business card case that was square for a square card. And those are really hard to find, right?
Yep.
And I was like, oh my gosh, where did you find that business card holder? And she was like, oh, it was on Etsy. And I was like, girl, can you send me that link? And so she followed up with me, said, it was nice meeting you, blah, blah, blah. Here's the link for that card case. And I was like, oh my God, I will always remember this woman, because I was so excited that she followed through and sent me the link to that. It had nothing to do with either of our businesses. It was just something that we connected over. So it can be something like that. It can be like, who did your hair, or who does your nails, or where'd you get that shirt? And you send a link. That is sort of, again, opening that crack and peeking deeper into a relationship.
Well, and I think that brings us to number 5, actually. You don't only reach out when you need something. Okay? Like, she didn't need anything from you, but I love that case. Where did you get it? And she was kind enough to reach out to you and give you the link to order your own. And I think that is so important to keep in mind. I love connecting people when I don't get anything out of it. Like, I just thought you two should know each other. Here's the introduction. Happy connecting. And I go on with my life, right? Like, I didn't need anything. But I can't tell you how many people I have made an impression on because I've made the connection. And next time they think of like, ooh, a podcast manager, they're probably going to think of me, A, because there's not very many that people know in person, and B, because of that small act of kindness. So it doesn't always have to be when you need something.
Right, exactly. And that's a huge thing. You can build goodwill before you need it. Then when you do make a request, it doesn't feel like you came out of nowhere.
An example of this that I've heard of, I've not had the opportunity to use it myself. I don't think. Oh, I actually did use it myself. When, like, let's say I'm supposed to represent podcasting at some kind of conference and I get really sick and I can't make it. And I refer another person to take my place. That is the kind of thing that does not get forgotten, because you just opened a huge opportunity. Again, kind of going back to that, you don't always need something first. It's okay to give first. It's okay for the relationship to be reciprocal. I mean, I've said that to my son, growing up, like, just remember, it's not always like what you get out of it. Like, you put into the world what you want to get out of it. So put some good karma in the world for yourself. And connect and help somebody else out.
Okay, so that brings us to number 6, which is failing to listen. Yes. I mean, this probably isn't a surprise to anybody out there. You may hear the words someone is saying without actually paying attention to what matters to them, right? How often are you in a conversation at a networking event and you're acting like you're listening, right? But you're really thinking about either the next thing you want to say, or you're like dissecting what you just said, right? Like, oh, my intro could have been better. I should have said this. I should have said that, right? And you're not actually listening to what the person is saying. I mean, unfortunately, I hate to admit, but I do that sometimes, where I'm listening and then I'm thinking about something else, or I'm like, oh yeah, this person said this. I wanted to connect with that person. And my brain is going in 17 different directions and I'm not actually listening. Okay. So listening is really important because I'm just going to say, how good do you feel about yourself when you're talking and the person you're talking to is actively listening to you? I mean, that is like the greatest feeling in the world. Okay.
I know.
So that is a super important thing. And it's a difference maker in a networking event.
Well, and this is what I always tell my podcasters. So podcast download numbers are very different than social media numbers. It's considerably less. And so they get discouraged about it. But I'm like, but wait, that person is choosing to come consume your content. They know they do not get a chance to reply to anything that you say. So they are actively listening for 30 minutes or an hour or however long your episode is.
Right.
You know, in the podcasting space, we think about barriers to listen. Like, you know, that's why everybody in the beginning took out all of the imperfections. Now, some people say leave the imperfections. I personally like a lot of them still taken out because I guess that's what I do. And so I'm hypersensitive to it. But yeah, it's the important piece is that active listening where you're not listening to reply. Like they are honed in on whatever you're saying. And in the same breath, when I am interviewing somebody, I like to have pad of paper. I will forget my train of thought. That's guaranteed. There's no doubt that I'm going to forget what I want to say. But if I write it down, I can write down the thing. And then I can go back to actively listening to what the person is saying. And then if they say something cool again, I write it down. And then I go back to actively listening. So that is really, you know, if that's something that you struggle with, that would be a great way to combat that. Is just have a piece of paper or put a note in your phone. And then when the person's done talking, you can look at your phone and be like, oh yeah, I wanted to ask you about, you know, XYZ.
I mean, listening also helps you avoid making assumptions, right? I feel like how often are we talking to somebody and you have those people in your life where they want to solve everything for you, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, as a woman at least, I just need to talk it out. I just need to say the words. I need to feel heard, and then I'll move on, right? There isn't anything to solve, or it's not going to help to have a solution. I just need to talk it out, right? So instead of immediately offering advice when somebody is talking to you, I would say ask whether that person wants ideas, an introduction, or just want to hear them out. Like they just want somebody to hear them out. I think that is really, really cool because that's kind of like next level listening in my mind, because I think I don't really do that well. I'm going to give this advice, but I don't think I do it as well as I should, because how often does your friend tell you something and then you're like, you're just giving advice, right? Or you're giving ideas without asking first, like, would you like advice? Do you want ideas? Or are you just looking to vent and I'm here for that, you know?
Well, podcast land, if I vent to you about anything, I want all the advice. Donna, you never have to ask me. I'm always looking for advice.
I want all the advice, all of it. Well, I had a client that I worked with, and she was a very, very smart woman, but I learned very quickly that she did not want advice. Okay. And
this is how my sister is.
It was funny because I was like, oh, wait, she kind of, you know, feels like she knows what she knows. And so she'll say things, and there are many a time where I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know how to even comprehend what she's saying, right? Like that's crazy. But then she realized later on in our relationship, she would say, please tell me your opinion of what I just said. And I thought that was mature, number one. She realized that I wasn't offering advice every time she said stuff. So she would actively ask me for it, which I thought was so wonderful. It really made our communication back and forth much better. And so I thought that was really great. But I gave her the space to be able to say, what did you think about what I just said? Instead of just offering advice.
Yes. Okay. So a good question is to say, I would like your opinion or I'd like your feedback.
Yes.
But also be careful. I mean, especially what I'm doing lately and who I'm around lately with people in the music industry. It would be tempting to be like, oh, can I meet that person? Oh, can I get an autograph? But again, it's like read the room. So just to be clear, this is number 7, asking too much too soon. be classy. Like, maybe an opportunity will come up where they will offer you tickets or maybe not. And that's okay too. But like, don't go into the conversation asking for too much. I mean, it kind of goes back to the taker. It's another category within the taker. The taker wants that sale right away, but the taker also says, "Oh, would you listen to this audio and tell me what you think about it?" Yeah, if you want me to edit it, and like that takes time. So
Right.
if you're
Right.
going to pay me for my time, I could give it a listen or I could produce it, but I'm not just going to produce it because I met you for 5 minutes or because you gave me a story about why you want to start a podcast. Again, read the room, know who you're talking to, and know what an appropriate ask would be within that conversation. I mean, you don't want to request major introductions right away. So I think also with what I was saying earlier, learning some of these artists and producers and all that kind of thing, I'm not going to be like, "Oh, can you introduce me to Cody Johnson?" I don't have the relationship. I don't have the clout yet to ask any of that. Just like we protect the people that we know. I'm not going to introduce you, Donna, to just anybody. I'm going to wait until it's an appropriate situation where they need a realtor or they need that connection. Then they have access to you. But until then, or until I trust them enough to know that they're not going to completely exploit you or completely, maybe they're coming to you to say, "Hey, would you sell this house for me for, 0.5% commission or something?" Right? No, that's not going to
Right.
happen. I think we have to be careful when we're asking for things. We can't ask for too much too soon.
Yes, and give people an easy way to say no. I know that might sound strange, but
Mm,
it actually builds trust and it allows people to not feel uncomfortable. They feel
yeah.
more comfortable helping when they don't feel pressured. So if you want to ask somebody for something, you keep the request really focused, acknowledge the person's time, explain maybe why you're asking them. Definitely don't assume they're going to agree. Give them an out. Instead of saying, "Hey, can you introduce me to everyone you know that may want some real estate
Yeah.
help?" Something like that
Mhm.
crazy. You could say, "I noticed you know Sarah. I'm interested in learning more about her community project. Would you feel comfortable introducing us?" I mean,
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
is a reasonable request. It's connected to a specific purpose and it gives them the opportunity to say like, "I don't know Sarah that well, to be honest. So I
Yeah.
don't think I'm the best one to give
Mhm.
that introduction," or whatever. It gives them an out, and I think that's really important when you're
Yep.
asking for something.
Yep. I completely agree with that.
Okay, so let's move on to number 8. Number 8 is failing to give before asking. You kind of hit on this earlier about giving that good
Yeah.
karma out in the world.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
another missed opportunity is entering into every relationship focused on what you can receive. That's what a taker is doing, and everybody senses that. So, strong networkers look for ways to contribute. And I will say, Tiffany, you are amazing at this. You always look for like a way you can help somebody. Like, who can I introduce them to? Or, who can I put them in touch with? Or what can I do for them? Without thinking about how that's going to come back
I
to
was just
you.
talking to somebody about networking and they were saying how they wished that it was being a little bit more successful for them. And honestly, they're in mortgage. Okay. And so I was like, "Well, how are you putting yourself out there?" Because I said, if you say that you offer HELOCs, I'm like, I actually don't even know what a HELOC is. Everybody's
Right.
saying that. I don't know what it is. And I think a mortgage person can only do a mortgage loan. So I don't really know. And I know y'all are talking about interest rates and stuff, but like seriously, every mortgage person I've ever heard introduce themselves ever, I don't know who to refer to. So when they start saying and make their ask more specific, she was like, "Well, a HELOC is like if somebody wants to put a pool in their house or they want to upgrade a room in their house, they want to remodel their kitchen." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I can refer to that. I
Right.
can't refer to like anybody who needs a loan." That's so
Right.
vague. Like I can't even
Right.
stand it. We always talk about how important the ask is, and that's why it is so important. So people like myself, when I start going through my Rolodex, I mean, this happens immediately. Like I almost panic. Like, okay, who can I connect them with? I could okay, I gotta get all crazy. I love being the hero that is like, you know who you need? You need Donna. Donna can tell you all about this. Like that gives me
Yeah.
such great satisfaction. But I think it's because I love starting those relationships.
Well, and putting that positivity out there and giving does not mean
Mhm.
overextending yourself or providing free work constantly or
Mm-mm.
anything like that. It means paying attention to ways you can be helpful. That's it.
Mhm. Yep. Helpfulness should be genuine. It shouldn't come with a hidden agenda that the person owes you something now or that this is going to make you whatever. That's the salesy, slimy stuff that people think of when they think of networking. Just don't put yourself in those shoes to be carrying out those actions that make you feel like you're out to get something to uplevel your game or whatever. The best networking relationships are not based on keeping score.
Right. Okay. We're moving on to number 9. Number 9 is being
Yeah.
inconsistent with your reputation.
Mm. This is a good one. So I have 2 people that come to mind that, like on a networking call or in person, they come off really professional. Okay, awesome. And then on their social media, they're very abrasive. And I'm like, oh, this is a public Facebook page, right? Like, I mean, like it's just aggressive pot stirring content that I'm like, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And
Right?
honestly, that's not somebody that I want to work with. It's not somebody I want to refer. I'm
Right.
not interested in getting in an argument with you about clearly you're a very passionate person. You know what? Tiffany Mason, me, I am a very passionate person too. But y'all got to use a filter before you put something on your personal social media. That stuff all matters.
Yeah. I recently read something about that saying that I think it was something like 95% of people look at your social media, like your personal one and your business one, before they do business with you. So
Yeah.
I know when people put stuff on their personal page that is controversial, I'm always like, why? Why are you doing that?
Uh
Because no matter which
huh.
side you're
Yeah.
on,
This is not a good look.
you have a whole nother side that doesn't agree with you and won't use you, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Well, that's the
totally,
last person that's the last reason I want somebody to do business with me is because of my political stance or where I attend religious services or like
right? Yeah.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
it's just not yeah.
yeah, it is
Mhm.
interesting. It is. The other thing that I will say that gets people in trouble is when I reach out to them, if it takes them 24 or 48 hours to respond back to me, it makes me think about probably not referring them to other people because their
Yes.
lack of response is unfortunately in this day and age.
I
Unfortunately.
mean, it's hard to justify like, "Oh, I didn't see that text."
Right.
Like, really? Because you're looking at your phone a
Mm,
lot for
right.
social media, for emails. Your kids are getting hold of you, your spouse, you're on social media scrolling. Like, you're trying to tell me
Right.
you didn't see that text. I'm
Right.
not buying it.
Even people who are like really good about not being on their phones, like I'll give you grace if I messaged you after 5 o'clock. Yeah, you
Sure.
can wait until tomorrow. After 9 a.m., sometime
Absolutely.
before noon, I should hear from you. But if I don't hear from you for a 36-hour, 48-hour period, I am thinking clearly me trying to connect you with somebody or me trying to do business with you or me trying to facilitate something with you isn't that important to you. It makes me
No, right.
question, your professionalism, your commitment to your business, all those things. I mean, you just can't ignore messages for long periods of time. Now, with that being said, I do believe that if it's over a weekend or if it's after business hours, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
short of that, no. If you're running a business, you need to respond within an appropriate amount of time. Now, for a realtor, our appropriate amount of time is much shorter, I believe, than like a 9 to 5 business, right? So
Yeah.
we're expected to be available on the weekends, right? And so I do my best to not communicate with people on Sundays. But if somebody messages me on a Friday night because they want to see a house on Saturday, do you think I'm going to wait until
Yeah.
Monday to
No.
respond? Of course not. And they would be already on another realtor because they wanted to see that house on Saturday. So they're seeing the house on Saturday with somebody else. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Responsiveness is industry specific, I will say,
Specific.
but
Yeah.
I'm not going to refer you if you don't respond to my message within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, I will say the only time I get in trouble with this is sometimes I want to give like this really thoughtful reply, right? Like I want to put all these details in it and give them links and all this stuff, right? And then I'm like, well, I don't have time right now. So then I look at it later and I'm like, oh, I gotta send that text message. And then the next day and then it goes too long. So
Yeah.
I think what I need to do is just be like, I would love to get you that information tomorrow or whenever I can realistically get it to them.
Right.
I need to just start doing that because that is the only time I run into that is when I really want to just, jam-packed text message or jam-packed
Right.
email.
Yeah.
And then I mess it up because I wait too long.
Well, and sometimes, like, I get it. Life is crazy. Life is busy. The world in which we live now. And sometimes I don't have an opportunity to really sit down with my phone and respond to messages until it's probably too late to message people. Right.
Yeah.
And so the ability I just know for Apple to hit that send later button has been a godsend for me. So
Where is that? I'm probably the only person in America that doesn't know where that is.
No, like like if you open a text message, like you're going to text somebody, there's that little plus sign to the left of where you would write the text. And if you hit that plus and scroll maybe a little bit, it says send later. And you hit that, and then it lets you schedule when that's going to send. So there's a lot of times where later at night, after 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I'll look at all my text messages and I'll just do this send later for tomorrow morning around 9:15 or whatever. So if you get messages from me at 9:15, it was probably sent closer to like 11 p.m. last night. But that way I know, okay, boom, that's done. Because I'll tell you if I go to bed and then I wake up the next day, it's forgotten. It's gone.
Clean slate. Clean slate.
Totally. So Apple saved my life by adding that send later function. And I use it all the time. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I think what's important to remember is that every referral carries the reputation of the person that's making it. So when someone introduces you, they are putting their credibility on the line.
Yes.
They are backing you. And so when you got that slow reply, it doesn't look great. It's not a raving, shining review.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that brings us to number 10. Final number 10. Forgetting to show appreciation.
Yes. The final mistake is failing to say thank you. Someone makes an introduction, shares an opportunity, recommends your business, invites you to an event, or even just gives you helpful advice or connects you with a helpful tool, and then never hears what happened. They never hear back from you. And it's fascinating because in the real estate world, like we can get referrals, and there's nothing more valuable to a realtor in my mind than a referral, a personal referral. So super valuable. Okay. So recently I had somebody send me an amazing referral. It was incredible. It was, hey, these people want to sell their house. I called them. They said, when can we meet you? They signed their listing agreement. Bam. It was like a dream, right?
Yeah.
Best referral ever. I mean, they didn't really ask me a lot of questions. I didn't have to sell them on myself. It wasn't anything like that because they got the referral from a friend they trusted, right? And so I sent a little gift card to the person who made the referral and let them know I was really thankful. And I heard through the grapevine that they were surprised because they have referred other people for different things and never received a thank you. And I thought to myself, that's insane. Like, the easiest thing to do is to send a thank you. And now that person is going to remember me as somebody who appreciates their referral and hopefully send me more referrals, right? Which I just think, like, how can you not take 5 or 10 minutes, send a thank you card? I sent a little coffee gift card too because, hello, well worth it for me, right? And so I just think that's really, really important. If somebody refers you or, any of the other connections that are valuable to your business, I mean, I just think that's so important to thank them in a proper way so they feel seen and heard. I think that's really important.
Well, I think you were speaking to Maya Angelou's quote. People may not remember what you said or what you did, but they remember the way you made them feel. And I think that that's what the thank you does, right? They remember that. And like you said, they're going to refer more to you or, they'll have that conversation next time they see you, those kind of things. I think that if you recognize in yourself one or two of these mistakes, don't beat yourself up. Every networker has talked too much, forgotten to follow up, missed a detail, or allowed a relationship to go quiet. So just be aware of that. The goal is not to, become perfect. The goal is just to be intentional. Think it through, keep these 10 things in mind, be intentional.
Yeah. I mean, and if you're like, oh, I kind of do that, or, oh, I don't do that well, start by just choosing one habit to maybe work on over the next couple months. And maybe you follow up within 48 hours. Maybe you ask more questions. Maybe you stop sending immediate sales messages. Maybe you contact...
Do that one. Let's focus on that one. If you do let's focus on that one.
Yeah. Maybe you contact someone this week without asking for anything. Focus on one change at a time and then pay attention to how people respond to you. I mean, I just think you might see a shift. You might see a difference. And the strongest networks are built through small actions repeated over time. So we're going to put the list of those 10 networking mistakes that are costing you opportunities in the show notes. So if you want a refresher, you can go there and check them out. And now we're ready for this week's networking mode on tip. Choose one person in your network you have not spoken to recently. Send them a message that does not include a pitch, request, or a favor. Congratulate them, check in with them, share something useful, or simply tell them you were thinking about them. Your goal is not to get something. Your goal is to strengthen the relationship. Networking mode on.
Think about the networking habit that you want to improve after listening to this episode. Send us a quick text message using the link in the show notes and tell us which mistake you're leaving behind. Maybe you're going to listen more, follow up faster, stop pitching too soon, or become more consistent about checking in. Let's keep building those powerful links together.
You've been hanging out in the Link Up Lounge, your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities.
Now it's your turn. Go make a powerful link today.
Networking mode on.